What government is going to do, members of parliament are going to build the ICT hubs. The government of Kenya is going to deliver internet. The government of Kenya is going to deliver trainers. We are going to deliver computers. It is up to the young people of Kenya to monetize their knowledge, their talent, their expertise, and grow their incomes. That is program number 2. That is going on as I talk to you. We have already distributed 16,000 computers to all our TVETs in Kenya today, not tomorrow. And there are 120,000, mark that number, 120,000 young people in our TVETs who today are earning on the digital platform because of our training and because of what we have done in that digital space. Number 3, what are we doing? You ask me, what are we doing to create jobs? Number 3, we have a big program with the Ministry of Labor. In fact, I was today with my Principal Secretary for Labor, Shadrach Madime. I don't know whether he is anywhere in this auditorium, is somewhere else. Shadrach Madime was with me today. I have changed the management of NEA, National Employment Authority, so that we can tap into opportunities to work outside Kenya. What are we doing in that space? I have negotiated many opportunities. Many people have been asking me, Mr. President, why are you traveling? Yeah? And I want to use this opportunity to answer them. I have been traveling to make sure that I connect Kenyans to jobs, both in country and outside country. We are signing 19 bilateral labor agreements with different countries. In fact, we just concluded one with Germany. So that what happens? So that some of our talented young people, because this is what other countries like Philippines have done. When you have good quality labor, you can use it to drive our economy. In fact, remittances from Kenyans, very hardworking Kenyans outside Kenya, is all the way to about $4 billion. So that is the space we want to use because Kenyans have good education, they speak good English, they are self-motivated, they need less supervision. Any company anywhere in the world will want to hire a Kenyan. And therefore, we must use it because it is the asset that we have. And that is what I have been doing to try and connect Kenyans to jobs outside Kenya. I said today, for example, that those opportunities are available. In fact, if you go to the Ministry of Labor website, there are approximately 400,000 jobs as I talk to you today. Different types of jobs. And that's why I was saying today, some of those jobs, like the ones for nurses, for example. I was in Saudi Arabia the other day. They want 2,500 nurses. We are unable to meet that quota. And Saudi Arabia pays even for tickets. You don't have to pay any ticket, you just need to be qualified. And there are other countries we are negotiating so that we can get opportunities for Kenyans to work, not just in Kenya, but outside Kenya. Number 4, you ask me, what am I doing to create jobs? Number 4, we must begin to manufacture things, products that can be manufactured in Kenya instead of importing everything from everywhere. There was a time we were importing toothpicks, imagine. Yeah? And there are people who want to tell us we must continue importing things and products. I made a decision that anything that we have the manufacturing capacity in Kenya, any product that we have manufacturing capacity in Kenya, we must begin to apply duty so that we stop products from other countries and build our own manufacturing capacity, hire our own young people, use our own raw materials, build our own wealth. And let me give you an example. Last year, we imposed duty on steel billets, on cement, on clinker, and on furniture. There was a bit of noise last year because I put down my foot and I said, look, if we have manufacturing capacity in Kenya, somebody explain to me why we continue to import these products. Do you know what happened? Because we put duty on those products, steel, for example, steel billets, 11 companies that had closed down because we had opened the door for importing of steel billets. 11 companies today, hiring 16,000 Kenyans, have opened. And they're now hiring Kenyans and producing steel billets locally in Kenya. You know what's interesting? The same people who were complaining last year, I met them this year. And they told me, Mr. President, you see, that duty you imposed on that product last year. I told them, why don't you reduce it from 17% to 10%? They told me, no, keep it at 17%. Why? Because they had now invested in Kenya. They were producing those products locally. And do you know what? We saved 100 billion shillings of foreign exchange because of stopping to import steel billets. These are statistics that are out there, right? So it is partly why our dollar situation is stabilizing, because we have stopped importing things, products that we can manufacture locally. 11 companies that had closed down, steel companies, have opened. They are hiring Kenyans. They are using our local products. Do you know what? I was in Taita Taveta today. And one of the things I'm going to do next month is to go to Taita Taveta, where we have iron ore, which we have been exporting as a raw material. And many people were telling us stories. Now, the same companies who were complaining to me last year, they have said one of them is now going to invest in Taita Taveta iron ore, not to export, but to manufacture steel locally using raw materials from Taita Taveta County, including all the other counties where we have iron ore. That is the difference we make when we make the right decision. So we are building our own local manufacturing capacity. And what are we doing in that space additionally? We are making sure that we support local manufacture. It is the same reason why we said diapers, bumpers. We have 10 companies that are manufacturing these products in Kenya. Explain to me, somebody, why we should continue to import these products from other countries. Explain to me why we continue to export our jobs. We have cotton which we are growing in Kenya. We have nowhere to sell our cotton. We cannot use it to produce our own products because we are importing everything. And that's why I said this year, God willing, we want to make sure that we build our own local capacity. Industrialization, manufacturing, value addition is the way for us to go so that we can create more jobs, create more wealth, and grow our economy. So we are not only expanding our manufacturing capacity, we are stopping unnecessary imports of products that we can manufacture locally so that we can expand our products, our manufacturing. And thirdly, on that space of creating jobs, we now have 6 new special economic zones. In fact, export promotion zones in Kenya. So that product is, that space is going on. And one of the products that, one of the areas we are going to deal with is right here in Mombasa in Dongokundu. I just announced that we now have a partnership with Afri-Exim Bank to unlock the first 500 acres of Dongokundu for industrial productivity. So I have given you 5. I have told you, number 1, our housing program is creating jobs. Number 2, our digital space is creating jobs. Number 3, our export of labor is creating jobs. Number 4, our manufacturing is creating jobs. Number 5, our special economic zones is creating jobs. That is what I'm doing for Kenya. I know you have asked me something else about education. Let me take one or two questions and then I will consolidate and answer your question on education and on drug abuse. Yes, can I have a lady this time? Oh yeah, that gentleman. Yes, my good friend.
Mimi ni Joash Onsare, mwanahabari wa TV 47 na vile Radio 47. Kuna haya masuala ambayo yamejitokeza hivi majuzi, na nakumbuka kwamba wewe Mheshimiwa Rais ulisema kwamba unabuni serikali ambayo ni broad based, na tumeweza kuona katika baraza jipya la mawaziri wale ambao wameteuliwa, umeweza kuwateua wale viongozi kutoka upinzani. Labda swali ambalo ningependa kujua, je, hii ni mbinu ya kumaliza upinzani, na je, watatekeleza the plan ambayo wamekuwa wakipinga, ambayo ulikuwa unaizungumzia wakati wa kampeni kwenda mbele? Asante.
Thank you very much. Broad-based government. I think that's your big question. Let me say this. Because of the challenges and the issues that came up in the last couple of weeks, going into 1 month, I committed to the country that I am going to form a broad-based government. And many people are asking me to explain, as Onsare there is saying, what is this broad-based government? It is broad-based government. That's what it is. It is what it is. Because, you know, because, you know, there has been this feeling that maybe this government is made of William Ruto's friends, right? And William Ruto's buddies. And I said, it is time. You know, I have friends. And I've seen many people ask me, okay, why did you, you know, dismiss the whole cabinet? And then you hired some back. Let me answer it this way. It was necessary to have a fresh start. Because as I told the people of Kenya, we're going to have a broad-based government and we're going to have a fresh start. So that even those I have given another opportunity to serve in cabinet, they must now know that this is new. The terms are different. We may have been friends, but now the terms are different. Number two, I also wanted other people to join in government, because for a long time as Kenyans, we've been divided on sides. And that's why I decided this time round, let me form an administration that has the broader face of Kenya. And that is why you see some of the members of my new cabinet coming from different formations, political formations. And I said I'm going to consult. And I'm going to talk to people who are willing to talk to me. There are those who did not want to talk to me, and that's fine. That's democracy. There are those whom we sat down and we agreed with, and we agreed on the agenda. What are we going to do? In fact, at some point, I was having a conversation, and the conversation went like, okay, the housing program. The housing program was in the manifesto of ODM and was in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. True? They're all there. The UHC program, it was on both sides of the divide. There are things that are common between us. And my question is, those things that we have no contest about, can we agree on those things and move the country forward on the things that are not in contention between the sides? And that is how we agreed with ODM to work on the broad-based government that captures some of the items that we all agree on. Number two, let me clarify, as the party leader of ODM did, that we did not form a coalition government, so that nobody should tell us we're trying to compromise the opposition. We did not form, we have no formal coalition arrangement. What we have is running an administration on matters that we have agreed, members of ODM who have agreed to come and work with us so that we can put the country first and be able to deal with the challenges that brings Kenya to where it is, whether it is our housing plan, whether it is matters to do with UHC, and all the other items that we agree on as a nation are important to the people of Kenya. I am not very keen on who takes the credit. I am keen on the transformation of Kenya. So this is what I can tell you about that arrangement. Okay, we have yes, there is a lady there.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kadra Hussein from More Radio. Mr. President, allow me to just ask a follow-up question on what my colleague has asked. You say that you consulted from different political formation. From what we have as a people, the people who are on the streets did not have T-shirts printed with political parties, identification. Neither did they carry banners that had colors of representation of a political party. So in your broad-based government, as you have said, you've consulted and you've also had people from ODM working with you. Where is the interest of the people being featured in your broad-based government, as they are the ones who prompted us to have this change that we are having right now? Now, to my question, I want us to just take time back, from the inception of the Kenya Kwanza government. When you took the oath of office, you promised to protect the Constitution of Kenya and ensure that the justice system functions well. You protect the rule of law. When you were making your statement on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong, you told us about amendments of some few clauses of the Constitution, including Public Finance Management Act. You also talked about witness, something to do with that. That is an act of in the Constitution of Kenya. But the populace has this question. Why would we talk about amendments? Why? Those very clauses that we have in the Constitution are not being respected. Like, I'll give you an example. Extrajudicial killings that we have seen, not unless, we can be given files of crime for the people who died. And then also, on that, we had arbitrary arrests. We also have forced disappearances, not unless also the government can explain to the people where these people are, or maybe if you have the information on that. Also, other things is that media rights and freedom, from media censorship and also being granted the opportunity to have the information needed to be given to the public. Also, another issue which I'll just say is on the commission and independent offices, like KNCHR, that is the Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, which you can be publicly held to account when you said about the numbers of people who died. And also we have IPOA, where they've been talking about frustrations in getting information that is necessary to prosecute some of the officers who had gone rogue during the protest. That is just an example I'm giving you about the Constitution. And also something else on leadership and integrity, whereby even one nominated person among those whom you've nominated in your cabinet is actually facing graft case in the EACC currently as we speak. And you talked about Singapore on development. Just a reminder, Mr. President, that in Singapore, they have extreme, serious penalties when it comes to matters corruption. Same as Indonesia. That just shows you how grave economic crimes are, especially matters corruption. So I want to ask you, Mr. President, you've told the Kenyans to give you time, actually to give you time to work on these issues, to set things right. If we are to hold you responsible today, Mr. President, what is the way forward from now on, seeing that there is the respect of the rule of law, the very Constitution that you sought to protect, and also in the event that These timelines expire, the ones you've given us, 6 months, 9 months, 3 months, 30 days. If they expire and we see no change, would you wait for the youth to start pushing for you to, out of government? And also, would you heed to the pressure that right now we are actually seeing 14 Kenyans have moved to the courts actually asking for the ouster of you, Mr. President? What do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much. The 14 Kenyans who have gone to court are exercising their democratic right. That is how free this country is. That you can actually go to any court and demand whatever you want in court. That is the taste of the freedom that I stand for in Kenya. And I want to promise you that those Kenyans who have gone to court for whatever reason, they are free to do it, and the courts are free to make whatever decision that is constitutional. You have asked me, I think, 10 questions. Let me try and answer some of them. Number one, you have asked me, the people who went to the streets, they did not carry the color of any political party. That is correct. But remember, they carried the flag of Kenya. And that is why I'm saying, let us put the interest of the people of Kenya first. That is why I'm saying this broad-based government must be a government that must do, at the very least, 3 things. And I stated them in my address to the nation. Number 1 is the subject of integrity, which you have spoken very clearly about. Dealing with the challenge of corruption. I have made very specific interventions. I have suggested very specific interventions on how to deal with the challenge of corruption. I have said we must change the Evidence Act so that corruption cases doesn't take 5-10 years. That is what happens today. That we should be able to conclude corruption cases in 6 months. I will be making the proposal to Parliament. I hope Parliament agrees with me so that we can deal with the challenge and monster of corruption firmly and decisively. Number 2, I have given my undertaking to the judiciary. In fact, I had an engagement with the Chief Justice a few days ago on my support, on my administration's support for the judiciary. It is demonstrable. When I came into office, I made sure that the judiciary has sufficient resources to be able to discharge their mandate, to be able to deal with corruption cases, to be able to deal with all the other cases. In fact, I am the president that has sworn in the highest number of judges in the shortest time in Kenya to facilitate the judiciary to be able to discharge their mandate. Because it is said, justice denied is justice, justice delayed is justice denied. And you can ask from members of the judiciary my support for the judiciary. In fact, when I came into office, there were 6 judges that have been denied their right to be appointed. I appointed them the first day when I got into office to demonstrate my commitment to the judiciary. Let me also say the following, that on the subject of corruption, I am very clear in my mind, and I will mobilize resources that are available. I will mobilize every resource that is available to deal with the challenge of corruption. Number 2, I also said this new administration must deal with the issue of making sure that we create jobs in Kenya by making sure that we don't import the things that we can manufacture in Kenya. Number 3, I said this new administration I'm setting up must deal with the challenge of making sure that tax expenditure, we spend 400 billion shillings every year of taxpayers' money, paying companies, paying institutions, claiming tax refunds, claiming VAT refunds, in a process that is not thoroughly clear. And I have said that going forward, we have to deal with this problem. So I have laid out a clear roadmap on what the administration I've just appointed must achieve. I know you have said we must respect the Constitution, which we must. And I gave my undertaking to the country that there will be no disappearance of Kenyans. I gave that undertaking. There will be no Kenyans in Rivayala. There will be no Kenyans in Tana River. There was a time we had 30-something bodies of Kenyans in rivers. That will never happen under my watch. And I have said this with clarity. If there is any Kenyan who has disappeared, I want people to step forward and say, Kenyan so-and-so has disappeared. I would be very happy to deal with it. Because under my administration, I have said there will be no disappearance of Kenyans again. There will be no extrajudicial killing of Kenyans. I have said that with clarity. And let me also say the following, that as we go forward, we must be truthful. When the Kenya National Human Rights stepped forward with fake news and said 200 Kenyans had been massacred in Githurai, it was a flat lie. I mean, surely. I mean, a whole institution that is supposed to be self-respecting, paid for by the government of Kenya, how can they go and tell the country that 200 Kenyans had been killed, which was utter, falsehood, I hope that's not the organization you want to defend. You cannot defend an organization that runs on fake news. And I will call them out, as Kenyans should call them out. We must stick to what is true. 42 Kenyans died, very unfortunately, in the events of the last 1 month. They shouldn't have died. Some of them in situations where the police were involved. Some of them in situations where criminals were involved. Some of them in different situations. All those situations are under investigations. And I have given undertaking that the government of Kenya will support those families, even as we get to the bottom of what happened in those situations. I have also undertaken that there are Kenyans who unfortunately lost property. We are also going to support them because it was nothing of their doing that occasioned all that happened to happen. Let me also say the following, that I am a great believer in the Constitution, and I will protect. I mean, many countries that have gone through what Kenya have gone through, Bangladesh, for example, they switched off the internet, they switched off the TVs, they did whatever they did. Kenya is running full steam. Internet is available every day. People are talking from all over the place. Newspapers are writing whatever they want. The TV has 4 screens. They are showing what's happening in Kondele, what's happening in where. What further freedom, surely, would you ask from me? I have the machinery to switch them off. I did not switch them off. Because I am a believer in the rule of law. And I am a believer in free media. That's why the media can go out and demonstrate and call me names and do whatever they want. Doesn't bother me. But that is what freedom is about. That's what democracy is about. So I am very clear about what Katra has said. All you have said that has really come to me is the young people who were out there did not have colors of parties or regions or communities. They had Kenyan flags. And that is why I am committed to making sure that the interests of Kenya, even as I appoint the new administration, come first. What do we do about Kenya first? So that is what I wish to say. Asante sana. Yes, my friend.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is John Jacob Curia from KBC. I want us to set the tone of this conversation, Mr. President. Mr. President, when the Gen Zs came out to the streets, their demand was that you overhaul the entire cabinet, which you did. You have defended the reappointment of 10 cabinet secretaries back to your cabinet. The big question Kenyans are asking today is President William Ruto a listening president? That is a big question tonight. Is President William Ruto a listening president?
Okay, I think there are too many media people asking. I think citizens want to ask this question. I think let's just relax. I think the media have been asking me too many questions. Sasa raia nao wapate nafasi yao. Anyway, ngojeni kidogo. Let me answer him anyway. Because Jacob has said something that is fundamental. Am I listening? Yes. How else would I have 12 of my cabinet secretaries out if I wasn't listening? More than half of my cabinet have left. It has never happened in Kenya. It has never happened in Kenya's history that more than half the cabinet has gone in one go. So I am listening. And I have said, even the ladies and gentlemen that have come back to cabinet, they have come back to cabinet on new terms. We may have been friends, we may have been acquaintances, we may have, but now this is different. You know, we are going to work on the timelines the people of Kenya have given us. And some of the good gentlemen that I have and ladies that I have brought on board are people who have a proven track record. And many of them, Kenyans agree, have done a good job wherever they've been. Yes, let me listen to the lady. This side.
Hamjambo.
Jambo.
Kwa majina naitwa Mwanamkuu Nondo, mkazi wa Likoni Sub-County. Mheshimiwa Rais, swala langu laja kwa upande wa feri ya Mtongwe. Sisi wananchi wa Likoni tupata shida sana pale feri wakati wa kuvuka. Sijui shida inatokea wapi, kwa sababu wakati kulikuwa kuna bridge ya Liwatoni ilikuwa kidogo kuna unafuu. Lakini tangu ile bridge iondolewe tunapata tabu sana pale Likoni wakati wa kuvuka. Na shida sijui iko wapi, kwa sababu kulikuwa na feri ya Mtongwe ikifanya kazi na baadaye ilishia hivyo yani. Kwa hiyo naomba unijibu swala hilo langu. Shukran.
Sikusikia jina lako tafadhali.
Mwanamkuu Nondo.
Mwanamkuu Nondo.
Yeah.
Asante sana Mwanamkuu.
Thank you.
Nitakujibu hivi. Just give me a minute, let me answer Mwanamkuu, because it's a very important question. In fact, yesterday when I stopped in Likoni, the people in Likoni asked me directly that question. And I didn't get it properly. It is later because I answered a different question. It's good you have brought it into focus today. That bridge, we had built it, and it was a bridge, a pedestrian bridge for people to cross. It had two problems. Problem number one is that it caused a lot of delay in the port. The port, people said it was taking more than 10 hours for ships to cross. That was problem number one. Problem number two is that the workmanship was not very good. So yesterday, after it was raised to me by the people in Likoni, I have instructed for both Kenha and KPA to get us a solution for that problem. So I will come back to you, Mwanamkuu, I will come back to you and to the people of Mombasa, and specifically the people from Likoni, on what it is that we are going to do to make sure that that bridge works. But let me also say this, just hold your horse. Let me also say this. There are two other things that we are doing. Shortly, we will open the connection of the bridge through Kibundani. In fact, I intend to come back here maybe in a month to make sure that that bridge is opened so that we can also have a different access from the other side going into Likoni and going into Kwale. And then thirdly, when I was in Japan earlier this year, we agreed with the Prime Minister of Japan to conclude the Mombasa Gateway Bridge. The Mombasa Gateway Bridge is going to sort out the problem of the ferry you have here in Likoni. We are now going to have a bridge the same way we have a bridge in Nyali. We are now going to have a bridge in, but it's going to be a different bridge because it has to allow ships to go through. We have agreed, we have signed the contracts to be able to have a modern, in fact, it will be the biggest piece of infrastructure in East Africa because it's going to cost close to 100 billion shillings to build that Mombasa Gate Bridge. And I was with the Japanese ambassador yesterday when I was in, the day before when I was in Kilifi, and we have agreed to have a session so that we can progress that discussion. So I have told you three things. I am looking at the pedestrian bridge. We are going to conclude the bridge through Kibundani, and we are well on the way constructing the Likoni Bridge, the big bridge going into the future. Okay, let's get somebody from this side. Msikize huyo mama.
Asante sana. Mr. President, nina maswali mawili tu na nafurahi umegusia forex trading. Utaamini mama kama mimi ninafanya hiyo forex. Kama kungekuwa wote wanafanya forex, hakuna mtu angekuwa na kusumbua hapa. Ingekuwa tumetengeza more than $100 right now. Because I do boom and crash. So, nimepeleka hili somo kule vijijini mashinani. Vijana wana lack only smartphone na capital. Na wengine naendelea kuwafunza. Singependa kufa na hii knowledge bila hao kujua. So, jambo la pili ni wazazi wenye watoto walemavu. Nimetembea mashinani, Mr. President. Ndoa zinavunjika kwa sababu ya hao watoto. Kwa sababu mtoto akionekana vile, mzazi wa kwanza kutoka ni baba. Mtoto anachiwa mama. Mtoto yule labda ni wa kubebwa, kuanikwa kwa jua na kuregeshwa kwa nyumba. Ningependa hivi. Hizi shule zote za public, kama ungeruhusu kila shule iwe na darasa na vifaa vya kufundisha wale watoto. Kwa sababu mtu anatoka Shanzu mpaka Tonoloka ili mtoto apate elimu. Ukiangalia wamelala njaa, fare hakuna. Hata ikiwezekana kama unaweza kuwatolea magari ya kubeba wale watu wa disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Sikupata jina lako, pole. Elizabeth.
Kadzo.
Elizabeth Kadzo.
We were with you in Shanzuwood.
Yeah. Huyu Elizabeth ametaja mambo mawili ya muhimu. Jambo la kwanza amesema yeye ni mfanyabiashara katika forex trading. Kwa wale ambao walikuwa wanafikiri ya kwamba pengine forex trading ni story, utamfuata huyo Elizabeth atakueleza sio story, ni biashara. Na amesema tatizo kubwa ni mambo mawili, capital na smartphone. Ni nini tumefanya? Last year tuko na kampuni mbili sasa Kenya ambazo zinatengeneza smartphones in Kenya. Ile smartphone ilikuwa inauzwa 12,000, 15,000, sasa inapatikana kwa $40, which is like 5,000 shillings. Bado tunaisukuma chini. Katika finance bill ambayo ilianguka juzi, tulikuwa tumeondoa ushuru kwa smartphone ndio watu wengi waweze kufikia kununua smartphone kwa sababu ndio inaweza kuwasaidia kwa biashara. I am going to pursue, ama nitafuatilia kuhakikisha kwamba we continuously reduce the cost of smartphones, ama kupunguza gharama ya smartphone ndio vijana wengi, kina mama wengi, watu wengi waweze kufikia kununua, waweze kufanya biashara katika hali mbalimbali. Lakini nataka nikueleze pia Elizabeth ya kwamba pia tumebadilisha sheria. Sasa hawa vijana ambao hawana smartphone. Hawa wabunge sasa kutakuwa na ICT hub kila ward. Na hiyo ICT hub itakuwa na free internet. Itakuwa na free computer. Itakuwa na mahali wanaweza kufanya hiyo biashara, including ya forest trading, vile hule jamaa nimekuambia Juma wa kule Kinango anafanya. So we are going to expand more opportunities for them to do that. Let me come to your second question. Issue umesema ni ya walemavu. Na ni kweli. Pale bado tuko na changamoto. Na ndio sababu nimefanya mambo mawili tangu niingie katika ofisi. Jambo la kwanza nimesema lazima tupanue ile mpango wa cash transfer ambayo inafikia watoto walemavu, watu wanaoishi katika wanaoishi na ulemavu, ndio tuweze tuwafikie wengi. Tumewasajili watu wengine wazee wa miaka ambayo 70 walemavu, tumewasajili wengine 1,500 in the last 1 year. Na tumewaweka sasa katika program ya cash transfer, number 1. Number 2, vile vile tumesema hiyo program ya cash transfer ilikuwa inachukua muda mrefu sana. Walikuwa wanangojea miezi 6, miezi 4 kabla hajalipwa ile pesa ya cash transfer. Sasa tumebadilisha sheria, nilisema na nimetimiza ya kwamba kabla mshahara ya rais kulipwa lazima cash transfer ilipwe. That is happening today. That is happening today. We are paying money for cash transfer for people living with disability, for the aged, and for orphans, at the same time as we pay salaries for public servants. They used to wait for 6 months, 4 months, 8 months. But as I made a commitment, I have kept that commitment, and people like the ones Elizabeth is talking about are going to be beneficiaries in that space. But I still agree with you on the third space, ya kwamba sio lazima watoto walemavu waende kwa shule ya watoto walemavu. We must make it possible for wale watoto wanaishi na ulemavu wasome pamoja na watoto wengine katika shule zetu zote. Na nilipata hiyo habari na umenisaidia, kwa sababu sasa leo nitafanya hiyo kazi umesema. Naamini watu wa Wizara ya Elimu wamo mahali fulani, nitawatafuta na nitawapatia amri ya kwamba what Elizabeth has said, because it is part of our manifesto, we were implementing it, lakini hatujaikamilisha. Sasa nitaifuatilia kwa kasi. Asante sana Elizabeth. Maybe somebody in front here, one of these good people, nani pale?
Thank you, Excellency. My name is Alawi Abzain. I come from the old town of Mombasa. Alawi Abzain. I've spent a better part of my life promoting heritage and culture. And in my travel around the world, I've seen that the old town or the oldest part of cities generate a lot of income. But unfortunately, when I look at the old town of Mombasa, which is actually the umbilical cord of Kenya, everything in Kenya started in the old town of Mombasa. If we take a trip here and go and look at the old town of Zanzibar, the stone town of Zanzibar, it makes millions, millions and millions. Your Excellency, I'm using this opportunity to plead to you that the old town of Mombasa, we need to have an old town planning commission that will plan the old town and make it like the old city, let's say of Rome or Zanzibar, such that the government can be able to make like 5 billion just from the old town. Right now, it is the way it is. That is one. Two, I've seen for many years the previous administrations. They've been writing off loans for sugarcane, coffee, tea. We come from the coast. Huyu mvuvi akiharibikiwa, mbona hatusikii serikali yetu ikisema chukua hii pole? Kwani sisi pia tunalipa tax? Kwa hivyo hili mimi linanihuzunisha sana. Kwa shauri, just like other Kenyans wakiharibikiwa, the other time tulikuwa tunaona 500 inapatiwa watu wa miraa. Sisi shamba letu ni Indian Ocean. Asante sana.
Asante sana mzee Alawi. Nakubaliana na wewe ya kwamba we can monetize our heritage. Nakubaliana na wewe kabisa ya kwamba heritage yetu kama ni pale Old Town and all the other heritage is something that we can monetize, and I'm sure my good friend Hersi, who is in the tourism sector, agrees that apart from our beaches, apart from our wildlife, there is more around culture, around food, around, what makes Kenya what it is, that we can package to be able to get more tourists into Kenya. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I would want to maybe, as I conclude the forming of government, I will want to see what is it that we can discuss. How can we come up with a plan around Old Town? How do we incorporate other products? And maybe, Hersi, you will help me there to say something, because you are an expert in that space. But let me, before I ask you to say something there, let me say about blue economy. Alawi, let me tell you very clearly. I am very clear in my mind how important blue economy is to Kenya. Not just to the people of the coast, but to Kenya. Today, we are unlocking about 20 billion shillings from the blue economy. The potential is 5-6 times more. My intention is that in the next 3 years, we should be making between 80 billion and 120 billion shillings from our blue economy resources. And that is why I have done 3 things on the blue economy. Number one, when I came into office, I changed the program that was there in the blue economy. There was a program funded by the World Bank that was focused on putting up buildings, holding seminars, holding workshops. I changed that program and I told our partners, I will not implement this program if it is not going to target what is important for the people of Kenya. Our development partners, and I must thank the World Bank, they agreed with me, and we changed that program. It is the program, Alawi, that brought me here on Friday. On Friday, I was at the showground here. At the showground, we gave out 1.7 billion shillings. Yeah? To 612 groups so that they can change their livelihoods. On Friday, I committed that we are going to buy 25 deep sea fishing boats. Because the boats we have at the moment, the ones we bought for our fishermen, about 120, cannot go very far. You can only go there for an hour or 2 or 3. Now, we're going to buy another 25 deep sea fishing boats that can take a day or 2 into the deep sea to be able to get us the fish that we want for our country. And number 3, For the first time in the history of Kenya, we have licensed an industrial fishing vessel flying the Kenyan flag for the first time that will do industrial fishing, one that can go for 1 month into the deep sea and get us tuna, and get us all the other fish. And by the way, that ship is going to be making about 4 billion shillings into Kenya every year, processing the fish here in Kenya, exporting the fish from here in Kenya. And my intention is to have 10 of those industrial fishing boats, minimum, by 2027. In fact, it is a conversation that I have already had with my friend Joho, and I have told him, this is the minimum I expect of you, God willing, when you are cleared by Parliament. Yeah? So, that is what we are doing around the fishing space. We are putting the highest resources ever put in fishing and in the blue economy that any administration has put in that economy. So we are building 11 fish landing boats in Lake Victoria. We are building 5 fish landing fish landing ports here in sites here in the coast. We are putting one in Moepe, down in Kwale. We are putting one here in Mombasa. We are putting another one in Kilifi. We are putting one more in Lamu, and we are putting one in Kipini in Tana River. I have also put in resources to build the first national mariculture resource and training center so that we can equip our fishermen and women and people working in that space with the relevant skills and competences. We have trained 6,202 coxswains to be able to unlock the potential in our fishing space. I was in Kwale yesterday. We are building a 2.6 billion fishing port in Shimoni. So you agree with me, Alawi, that we are investing in the blue economy and we are not shortchanging the people of this region or shortchanging our blue economy ecosystem. Let me ask this good brother, maybe just to help me, my good friend Hersi. You want to say something about that space my good friend Alawi was saying?
Thank you, Your Excellency, and welcome to Mombasa. You know, it's said that government world over, they're not very good in telling their story. And when they attempt to tell their story, people also don't believe them. So we are honored that you've invited us to address us and to answer, in fact, no censored questions, which to me is a great thing. And you just described the democracy we enjoy in this country, which we don't take for granted. So thank you very much, Your Excellency. You know, I sleep, I dream, tourism. And you're very passionate about creating jobs and employment for young men and women. Tourism is the easiest vehicle available to you and to your government in creating employment for our people. Kenyans are overall warm and friendly people. The other day I said, while other countries struggle with attitude issues, Kenyans, you don't have to teach them how to smile. It's natural. Kenyans and Swahili language is the only language that puts a foreigner and a guest on the same pedestal, and we call them wageni. We treat them well. We are looking at 2.5 million arrivals this year. And we struggled for a long time, Your Excellency, to hit even 2 million. Where I sit, and with my colleagues here, there is no reason why we cannot hit 3.5 million. We don't hit 4.5 million. And by the time we're hitting 2027, there's no reason why we should not even hit 5 million. No doubt. But Your Excellency, for us to do that, there are a few things that we need to do. And we call it the low-hanging fruits. No sweat. Very easy things. Number one is accessibility to our country. You know, international tourism, for them to get here, Kenya is considered a long-haul destination. Anything above 5 hours is a long haul. Morocco, Algeria, Egypt are considered short haul, which is 4-5 hours. Kenya and South Africa are sub-Saharan, so we hit 8 hours and above. Now, coming to air connectivity is a big challenge. But I must also commend our national carrier. I'm one of the critics of our national carrier. But let me also tell you, Your Excellency, the day we don't have a national carrier is the day we will be spending transit time in Dubai for 11 hours. Ethiopia will be holding us for 14 hours to connect to another country. But as long as they know we have an airline, they'll never mistreat us. And one thing also we don't know is that our national carrier, despite all its challenges, is the biggest source of passengers into Kenya. 60% of the people coming to Kenya actually come aboard KQ. In a single day, they have between 110 and 130 flights daily. All the rest put together don't even hit 45%. Now that takes me, before I come to the open skies, Your Excellency, please address the issues bedeviling our national carrier. We've been bailing them out year in, year out. But there are some fundamentals that need to be sorted out. As a national carrier, they are not given priority at our airports, both JKA and Moi International. When you go to Ethiopia, Ethiopian Airlines is given red carpet. BA is given red carpet at Heathrow, but KQ does not get that. Coming to open skies, and specifically for Mombasa, and we've been fighting for a long time, Your Excellency. 2007, 2008, we were getting 42 charters a week, but the charter business is dying. We now need to replace them with scheduled flights. The likes of Turkish, the like of Qatar were flying into Mombasa, but after COVID, they were denied the license. And we are told we are trying to protect our national carrier. If Kenya Airways was flying to Istanbul, we will not be asking for a flight to Istanbul, Your Excellency. When you take an airline like Turkish Airlines, it's going to connect Mombasa to 18 cities in Germany alone. You take an airline like Qatar, it's going to take us to over 125 cities globally. That is direct to Mombasa. And we appreciate that you approved Fly Dubai to come into Mombasa. And that is one key thing that we need to do. Next is tourism investors. Your Excellency, good news is we have a lot of people who are willing to come and invest in Kenya today. Beach hotels. But guess what? Getting land is a nightmare. Getting land is a nightmare. When you go to Diani today, and you go from Indian Ocean Beach Club all the way to Galu, you'll find a lot of parcels of land that are still empty. 10 acres, 20 acres, 30 acres. Your Excellency, most of these guys were allotted this land at independence. They were allotted this land, second president when he came into power. Zanzibar, next door, will not allow you to sit on a piece of land for more than 3 years. You either develop it or you surrender it back to government and somebody takes it. So Your Excellency, as we sit now here, we have had investors who came here, they've disappointed and they've had to move elsewhere because getting land is just next to impossible. And when you get the price people are asking for, and yet they were allotted for free and they sat on it for 40 years and they did nothing with it. So Your Excellency, that is something we really need to address. We've already brought it to the attention of Her Excellency the Governor, Kwale, and she's committed to address this. as we address that challenge, Your Excellency, another big challenge we're facing, because it's going to impact negatively on our efforts to create employment. Prime beach plots are being subdivided into quarter acres, into half acres. When you put 20 homes, the most you can do is employ a guard and a housemaid. That's it. When you take a 10-acre plot and you put up 150 rooms, you're looking at 300 young men and women who have been employed. And the taxes that go to government is big time as well. So those are issues that we'd like you to address. And then finally is the visa, an ETA that you gave us. ETA, our plea is this: select countries. Can you give them ETA on arrival? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Hersi. I thought you were going to give me some credit that your hotels are between 80 and 90% full. Isn't that true?
That's why, Your Excellency, I said we are going to hit 2.5. We will even go to 3.5. We've done very well. And we can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Thank you, Hersi. Just just allow me 1 minute to agree with my friend Hersi that we can say many things, but Kenya is going places. You may not want to agree with me. We moved the numbers in 2020. In 2022, we were at 1.4 million arrivals. Last year, we went to between 2 million and 2 million and a bit. This year, we are going to hit 2.5, the highest arrivals in the history of Kenya. This year is going to happen. And it is because of the profile we have built. You know, many people accuse me, oh, you have been this place, you have been this place. I am the chief marketer of Kenya. You know, every place I go, I raise the profile of Kenya. Kenya is today respected globally. Kenya today, in any forum you go, they will say, what is Kenya saying? Right? So, and it's because of that what we are raising the profile of our country. I just wish everybody can do their bit so that we don't create instances where people begin to doubt what Kenya stands for. I am very confident that by 2027, 2028, the magical 5 million tourists, we will get there if we go with the trajectory we are going. And I will continue to push the limits for Kenya. I will continue to profile Kenya positively in a way that the world begins to think about Kenya. Number two, I agree with Hersi that already we have 42 countries where visa under the ETA program is automatic. When they apply, within 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, they can travel to Kenya. Unlike before, where they had to look for the Kenyan embassy, go and queue for visa, do all manner of things. The next step, which Hersi is telling me, is that we need even to take it further and say there are people who, even if you don't apply ETA wherever you are, if you arrive in Kenya, you can be given on arrival. That I agree with, and I'm going to work on it, so that we can build another layer of countries that to make it easier for people to come to Kenya. Just by changing the ETA, just by changing the visa regime, which I did in the last 6 months, we have 60% more people coming to Kenya today, just by making it easier for people to come to Kenya. Many people were asking me, why are you doing this? Oh, the country is going to be unsafe, and that kind of thing. I mean, we have made sure that there is sufficient checks and balances for us to make sure that Kenya is accessible. I agree with you that I need to do something about Kenya Airways. And I want to just relax, kidogo. Something needs to be done about Kenya Airways, and I am working hard at it. For your information, this year, it is the first year Kenya Airways made a profit. First year. And I still want to work on it. Bado iko na kisirani kidogo, but I'm working on it so that we make sure that we straighten it and it can serve our country better. We still have a long way to go, and I'm still applying my mind to it. I agree with you that we need to approve a few more airlines. It's a delicate balance, people. It's a delicate balance between allowing more people to fly here, because anybody we allow to fly here, they must also give us an opportunity to fly to their destination so that it becomes even. So we are discussing with other airlines. We just approved another 4 flights by the UAE airline, what is that, Etihad? Yeah, Dagar is here. We've just approved Etihad to fly 4 times a week. So we're looking at other opportunities for us to be able to get more flights. I've heard you about Turkish Airlines. We will look at it. My PS Dagar is there. Please let Turkish and Qatar. So we will look at it. But you know, there is something called in law quid pro quo. You scratch my back? Yes. Yeah, so we don't want just to do it. And let me say, just give me a minute. Let me say this. It's true. Land is a problem in Kenya. It is the reason why real estate is very expensive in Kenya. And it is the reason why I decided that to be able to build affordable housing, we are going to use public land. That is why we have managed to reduce the prices significantly, because the land cost was contributing 40% of the cost of every house. But now when we take out the land cost, we substantially reduce and make it affordable for more Kenyans to be homeowners. We will need to think about what we are going to do so that we can make investment, especially on tourism infrastructure, much more affordable. By the way, I am doing something on some of our conference facilities in Bomas, here in Mombasa. We're trying to get investors to be able to support us in that space. And I'm also doing something, one moment, I'm also doing something about the airport. Let's be honest, Kenyans, let's be honest. Yani, the airport we have in Nairobi is made of canvas. Iko na inajengwa na hema. In the middle of tarmac. That is the arrivals. I mean, this is a temporary structure we put up almost, I don't know, 7 years ago. We don't. Ethiopia have a brand new airport. Rwanda have a brand new airport. And it is the reason why we need to work with investors to give us a new airport in Nairobi. I have seen many people saying, William Ruto wants to sell the airport. Am I a madman? You know, how do you sell a strategic national asset? You have to be insane. You know? So we must have the right investment for the airport. The airport is a strategic government asset, national asset. What we want to do in the airport is to work under the PPP program. And people must understand, PPP has the potential, public-private partnership has the potential to bring in private sector money, blend it with public sector investment to be able to create an outcome that brings win-win. Let me tell the people of Kenya, for example, let me give you an example. We are all celebrating the Nairobi Expressway. It nowadays takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes from the airport to Serena. True? Yes. Do you know that that Nairobi Expressway was not built with the government money? It was built by the private sector under the private-public partnership arrangement. You know? And that is the model that we are going to use to extend the superhighway from Nairobi to Nakuru, to Eldoret, to Malaba. That is what we're going to use to do many of our roads. That's what we want to do with our airport. We want to work with the private sector for them to do 3 things that are critical for our airport: to build a new terminal, to build a new runway, and to make sure that we refurbish what we have and remove the canvas. Ile hema iko hapo ambayo sasa ni arrivals. You know, it's a very shameful thing. The airport we built in 1970, I saw the plaque there, Jomo Kenyatta. That so many, almost 50 years ago. Now, the capacity was 7 million passengers. Last year, we had almost 9 million passengers. We are actually 10 years behind schedule in modernizing our airport. Other countries are ahead of us. I want to persuade us as Kenyans. Let us not buy into fake news. Let us not buy into propaganda. There is no government that can sell a national asset, a strategic national asset like the airport. We are going to work in an open and transparent manner to make sure that we develop the airport using legal instruments that can